Hello, everybody. If you can hear me, leave a comment in the comments section. Welcome to my live event on this lovely sunny Friday. If you can't hear me, let me know. Last time I did this last week, we had a slew of technical difficulties. So let me know if you can hear me. Here's hoping that all my new fancy equipment and program that I got is going to solve all of our problems. I'm remaining hopeful today. How are you guys? Are you at work? Are you driving home? Do you have today off? Which would be awesome. Let me know what you're doing. Very sunny. Yes. Good. Glad you can hear me. Yeah, sunny is right. It's been hot here. Probably not as hot as where some people are living, but it's a little rough. I'm ready for fall. Anybody else? Super ready. Well, we'll let some more people trickle in. Last time I did a live event, I got through it so fast that half the people came in 10 minutes in and missed it. So we'll give them a few minutes just in case people show up a little late. But yeah, in the chat, let me know what you're up to. Oh, that's babysitting a sick pool. That does not sound fun. Although if the pool gets better, that's fun. Also, I mean, if you guys feel like it, tell me what you're reading right now. Last time when we were going live and chatting together, I mentioned that I'm still looking for some really awesome reads to add to my TBR pile. Been doing lots of nonfiction, which I love, but I would be interested in adding some more fiction to that because that's where my heart is in the end. All right, guys. So what we're doing today, if you don't know, my name is Madeleine Mozley. I am the author of The Disc Chronicles. The first book of that series, which is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi series, was First Carrier. And First Carrier came out a couple of years ago, almost today, September of 2020. And the last couple of years, I have been working on the sequel to First Carrier. My intention, my heart's desire was always to get this book out last year. But as life happens, it did and got a little bit in the way, and that's okay. So we're here today, and we are nearing the release of the sequel. And if you're on my mailing list, you probably already saw the email about this. But for those that didn't, the title of the sequel is Blood for Blood. That's coming out here in October. I'm excited to talk to you guys about it today. Just a little bit of behind the scenes stuff about the cover, about the blurb. And if you're up for it, and if you guys have the time, I'll read you the first scene, which is pretty exciting, a little nerve-wracking for me. And then we'll also look at the premiere of the Blood for Blood book trailer together. Yeah, a trailer. So excited about that. And again, a little anxious. So has anybody who's tuning in live not read First Carrier? If you haven't, let me know. I intend to keep this live event pretty spoiler-free, but we are talking about a sequel, so I'll do my best. Let me know if you have not read First Carrier. All right. I'll catch you up a little bit about what happened in First Carrier. It's been a while since it came out, so maybe even if you read it, you're a little fuzzy on it, totally understandable. There are lots of good books to read in between now and then. So I will recap you a little bit on what happened in the book. I'm also going to send out real quick a link to the book where it lives on Amazon in case anybody wants to see it if you don't know about it. And I will add that here. So there's that link. Okay. That is not what I want to do. There it is. Okay, so click that link if you are curious about First Carrier and you haven't read it before. Gives you a little bit of the details about it. My guess is that most of you here tuning in have read First Carrier, which means you're awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, that was an interesting thing when I released this book. It was a couple years ago, and I really didn't know what to expect. As a debut author, it's, a little anxiety producing where you typically live your creative life alone. in total isolation, creating these people in this fictional world, and then all of a sudden you throw it out in the real world and you have no idea what the reaction is going to be. I'm blessed and thankful to say that the reaction has been encouraging. You guys have been so kind. You've really seemed to enjoy the book. Awesome. That's the goal, to be entertaining. And I thank you. If you have been with me through this journey, you mean so much to me, and I really, really appreciate it. All right, guys. So a little bit of catch up about First Carrier. I released it a couple years ago, and what happened in it, let's review a little bit about what happened by the end of it. The general elevator pitch was two sisters living in a post-apocalyptic desert have to survive the people in it, and the effort may tear them apart. Here's the cover. Isn't it cute? It's pretty. So that's the spiel. But what happened in it, and again, I'll try to stay kind of spoiler free, but at the end of First Carrier, sisters Wren and Survivor are separated, and the ruler of the disc is facing the very real threat of war with the territories around him after some shady stuff he did in that book. Wren is at the center of this power struggle, and she finds herself in a tight spot at the end of the book. Pun intended for those who have read the book. So book 2 of the series is called Blood for Blood. And I will send out another link here. This is to my website, where the homepage now has been revamped. You can read all about the new book. You can see some of the cover art, really big and bold on there. It's been fun to see that, and we'll dive into that in just a minute. But you can see the cover and all those good things as well. All right, so I'll go ahead and also share the cover in StreamYard here. My technology is so exciting. Hold on just a sec. Okay. Yes, I want to add this to the stream. So there's the cover. Shiny, new. I'm happy, so happy with it. My cover artist's name is James Schlaven. He's a local artist here in New Mexico. He's really incredible. And if you remember, like I showed you already a little bit of this cover here of First Carrier, you'll see the double helix thing we have going on. We're continuing that theme on the Blood for Blood cover, but with some key differences. On the Blood for Blood cover, you'll notice that the colors are much more bright. They're less organic, I suppose, than they were on the First Carrier cover. On the First Carrier cover, the red line was representing Wren and kind of her red hair. So it was more of a natural red color to match like red hair color. That's not synthetic. And it's kind of flowing and it looks like hair and like a living thing. And then the white line is Survivor's line. It's sharper, it's crisper, it's more to the point, and it looks even a little dangerous, kind of, yeah, like I said, sharp. And these two lines on the cover of First Carrier are intertwined together to make that double helix shape. And while we have that continuing here on Blood for Blood, but you're going to see some key differences where Survivor's white line had been kind of the intimidating, scary one. Now on Blood for Blood, Wren's line is kind of becoming the intimidating, scary one, right? So she's got these blood droplets coming off, so it's kind of busting apart. You see where the white line and the red line, the helix, are starting to break apart in that second half. They're separated, they're struggling, and they're changing. And you'll also notice that in Survivor's white line that it's also changed. It's got these really these new intricacies coming in. Her character is, I think, also developing those intricacies in this book and becoming more complex. Yeah, and you see the breaking apart in the image there. I love it. I know that most people, when they see this cover, will not see any of that, and that's totally fine. But you get to learn about it because you're here with me today. So yeah, there's our cover. And I'll go ahead and dive a bit into the blurb. Go ahead and pull up that link to my website if you want to look at the blurb and you can read the whole thing. But I'm just going to give you an overall picture of what's happening in this book. Again, spoilers aside. So some things you'll see are old characters returning, of course. Some fan favorites like Survivor. I know you guys are really into Survivor, as well as Asha, Freddie, Sands, and a whole bunch of other people that you're going to recognize. And a lot of them in this book are going to be going on their own journeys, like they did in the first one, of course, but a little bit more even in this one, where we get to see their characters unfold a little bit. And even those who were a bit more enigmatic in book 1, like Sands, you get to learn a little bit about him, and that's been really fun to play with. You'll also see new characters, obviously. Some of these characters that I'm going to go more deeply into in Blood for Blood were in First Carrier, but they have a little bit of a bigger role in Blood for Blood. Characters like Bug, the socially awkward lab assistant, and then there are some brand new characters that you won't recognize, which is always fun to add. You're also going to see the same rough desert world. In First Carrier, I kind of wanted to make that desert and the open more of its own character. I wanted it to be very striking and realistic and intense, right? It's intimidating. It's also kind of a villain in a way. It's something to overcome and to face. So you're going to see that world returning, but a little bit of a difference here is that in Blood for Blood, we're starting to see winter coming. Winter is coming. And so things are starting to get cold. The harsh sun is still there, it's still ever present, but we also start to see the extreme of freezing temperatures. And if you've ever lived in the high desert, if you've been to New Mexico, you'll know that we have all the seasons. And so winter can be pretty harsh here, and it's very dry even in winter. We don't get a ton of precipitation all year round. So that really dry, kind of crisping out your skin, almost burning your skin with the cold is a thing here. And it's going to be even more of a thing in this post-apocalyptic fictional version of New Mexico, which, if you didn't know, by the way, these books are set in New Mexico, where I'm from, but of course a very fictionalized version after it's gone to heck. So let's see, what else are we going to do in this book? As we go forward in the plot, you're also going to get to look backward. You're going to get to see a little bit about what happened before the fall. I call it the fall of technology, the apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. You'll start to see glimpses of that history, what caused the apocalypse, as well as kind of like some of the main characters who are in this book, their role in it. So that should be I hope that's interesting for you guys. It's been really fun to dive back and create that kind of depth, I think, for the world, for me anyway. And then it's called Blood for Blood. It's got a fair amount of subterfuge, shifting loyalties, lots of action, and even a little bit of romance thrown in, often when you least expect it. And for me as the writer, it often showed up when I was least expecting it, which is always interesting when your characters do things where you're like, are you sure though? But they were sure, apparently. So yeah, it's called Blood for Blood because the theme kind of overall in this book ended up being one of vengeance, where everybody is out for revenge in this book. And my little, what is it, marketing line is, the disc has never feared war until now. You might also hear me say something like, what did I say here? Said where the Ren and Survivor are going to discover the steep cost of vengeance, and the cost is blood for blood. So a lot of the main characters are out for revenge in some way, shape, or form, and that plays out very differently for each of the characters' plot lines in this book. And it was such a powerful running theme that I really couldn't stay away from it. So hence the title. It's a little bit on the nose, but I'm okay with that. All right, would you guys be interested in hearing me read the first scene? Tell me in the comments. If you're not, you're like, I don't have 15 minutes to just listen to you reading. That's cool. But if you do want to hear me read the first scene, I am happy to read the entire first scene to you guys to give you just a little sneak peek of this book and what you can expect from it. And of course, you get to see a glimpse of some of the characters, before the book comes out. So I think that's kind of fun. Let me know. All right. We've got yes, pleases. You got it. I am not a professional book reader, hence why when I made an audiobook for First Carrier, I hired somebody far more skilled than I to do it. There will not be, in case you're curious, there will not be a audiobook for Blood, at least not as of now. Maybe in the future, if I get a lot of demand for the audiobook, I will make it happen for you guys. But that really wasn't a format that was popular, at least not as popular as I had anticipated it might be for First Carrier. It seemed like a lot of you guys, you love paper, you love print, and I love you for that because I am the same way. So we're going to be really focusing on that, and in about a week or so, maybe a couple weeks, I'm going to make an announcement about something pretty cool for the print lovers that's going to become available. But for now, let us read. Okay. All right. You guys ready? Rat Tail pushed his wheelbarrow over the dry, cracking earth, the wheels squeaking rhythmically as he avoided cacti and short sand dunes. The sun warmed his leather beanie, which he'd retrofitted into a balaclava with scratch pieces of fabric stitched from ear to ear. But the wind was starting to pick up. There was a sharp chill to the air, a sign that the cold season had arrived. The nights were bitter these days, and he intended to finish his work long before the sun surrendered to the horizon. His wheelbarrow was already half full of rebar, bolts, and undamaged cinder blocks. A good haul so far. He reached a pile of rubble. To an untrained eye, it would look like nothing more than a trash heap caked with sand. He set the wheelbarrow down next to it and unslung the square shovel strapped across his back. After a quick adjustment of his worn leather gloves, he gripped the shovel and jabbed it at the base of something poking out from the pile, like an arm jutting from a stack of corpses. He unearthed the long coil of copper and added it to the wheelbarrow with satisfaction. This was not trash, but that's what they called it. Those people cowering in the disk, sheltered snotwads who'd never been outside its walls. The women he paid at Screws and Gears called him a dumpster diver, little rat tail burrowing in ancient garbage. But he, like most other scavengers, took pride in what he did. Someday it would make him a rich man. If he could find something Thallium wanted for his collection, he might be able to make a leap toward retirement. Something shiny or a whole book. The principal always paid for books in decent condition, extra if they had hardcovers. And if Rattail found something to add to His Majesty's machine collection, he'd get paid for sure. Maybe enough for a permanent room at Screws and the best of the women. Rivet with her brown pigtails and the little mole in the shape of a heart on her chin. For him, just for him. Rat! Rattail hissed softly and turned. Frederick knelt on a slight rise with a scope pressed against his eye, as if he thought himself a grand explorer. Beside him was a keeper, his striped robe abandoned for more practical travel attire. Thallium had begun requiring his scavengers to work under protection due to the disk's current reputation in the open. The keeper had a rifle under his tan cloak. The barrel peeked out beneath the hem. "We need to hurry through this corridor," Frederick continued. He tossed the scope to the keeper, who caught it and continued surveying. "I have to make a sweep of the grasslands before we cut west for Non. At this rate, we'll be stuck out here for an extra day and night. Onward, with haste!" Rattail just grunted in response. He liked working alone, a single man in the White Outlands. It was safer that way, no matter what Thallium thought. He could cast a drop cloth over his wheelbarrow and skitter under the lip of a boulder if marauders happened by. Partners were liabilities, and partners that didn't respect him were dead weight. He'd left them in crags and caves before, and once out in the sun with a leg pinned by a steel beam. He'd walked away from that one with regret. That steel would have bought him a month of dinners at the storehouse. But the principal made his scavengers go out in pairs now. Increased accountability, he'd said. They'd drawn straws, and he'd ended up with the worst of them all, Frederick, with his stupid fox scarf and that khaki top hat with fur ear flaps, both just begging for someone to steal them, or destroy them. Either would make Rat happy. Even though he was stuck with Frederick, something he planned to remedy soon for the sake of his own safety and sanity, it was better than being in the disk right now. People there were starting to get twitchy. Strange how, for as long as Rat had been in the city, very few citizens had wanted to leave the safety of its walls. Yet once the option to do so was taken away, everyone started craving the open. It wasn't the open itself they wanted, of course. When they could walk through the door, they didn't care to. But now that the door was sealed, they were trapped, and they felt like it. It was the freedom to leave that they wanted, even if they would never have the guts to actually go through the front gate. The city was locked down, trade shut off. The farms had harvested what they could and stored it for winter, but it wouldn't be enough. Without trade in the cold season, people would starve. That was a fact, and it spread through bars and alleys like an icy whisper, breath from the ghosts of people who would be dead come spring. Already, theft and street violence were picking up, and there was talk of going outside and taking chances there. Elaborate plans with rope and pulley systems to get over the wall, or slowly digging underneath it after nightfall. They were still fantasies, but they wouldn't be for much longer, and people were going to die as traitors for attempting to violate the principal's lockdown. Nobody was allowed in or out, not even resource seekers, but that was good for Rat. Thallium still let some scavengers out, those who had brought him something valuable in the past, and he was one of them along with Frederick. The principal even gave them key cards to let them come and go from the disk through an underground entrance near the main house, a door that privileged few knew about. Each scavenger pair just had one key card to share and were sworn to keep its existence a secret. Nowadays, people would kill for that card. He took a break from moving refuse to pat it through his shirt where it hung against his chest. He'd have to take care of Frederick before nightfall when the keycard was supposed to change hands. Too risky to act without the key around his neck. Fully ignoring Frederick's request to hurry up, Rat resumed his work. Rat believed it was a shame to waste crises, and he would make good use of this one. The principal had a weapon. His keepers turned goons said so when they had too much yellow fever at the bar. He was going to use this weapon to become ruler of this whole stinking scab of a desert. Cheers! Rat wanted a piece of that, and if he stayed on Thallium's good side, he just might get it. Little Rat, with his tiny nose and crooked teeth, bald head at 30, he'd be a king. He heaved a section of drywall off the pile with his shovel, and it thudded on the ground. After the dust settled, something glittered on its surface. He leaned his shovel against the wheelbarrow and fell to his knees to pick up a delicate silver bangle, thin and remarkably unbent. 2 red-orange stones were set on either side of a larger blue stone, veined with gold, in the middle. He blew on them to remove some of the dust. His breath caught, turquoise and coral, perfect condition. It might not buy him retirement, but it would buy him Rivet's exclusive attention for a week straight. Frederick's approaching footsteps crunched through the rubble behind Rat. "Time's up! Pack it away! We need to get moving!" Rat kept his back to Frederick and slowly reached for the folding knife in his breast pocket. "I don't take orders from you, DeBurr." "Oh, come on, friend. I'm running behind. Just need to make up for some lost time, that's all." As Rat turned to face him, he held the bracelet up high to distract Frederick as he moved the knife down to his hip. The keeper was still surveying the horizon, distracted, clueless. Frederick's eyes grew large. He took a loop from his pants pocket and held it up to the bracelet. Magnificent piece! That turquoise, powder blue with a gold matrix, rare indeed. Rat flipped open his knife, careful to avoid touching the paralytic coating the blade. "Too bad the coral's faded," he said as he raised the knife for a swipe at the exposed flesh of Frederick's hand. But before he could strike, something hit the back of his knees hard. He went down shouting and flipped onto his back to face his assailant. A woman stood there, holding his shovel aloft, her full tanned chest taking in the sun. She moved the shovel to one hand and tugged her dusty scarf off her face with the other to reveal teeth like shards of dirty glass and wild, dark hair. Rattail could hear the sounds of a scuffle behind him where the keeper had been, but he was too terrified of the woman to take his eyes off of her. He expected to hear a rifle shot, but nothing. Only a thud as something heavy hit the dirt, then the whistle of the wind. "Please," cried Rattail, "I'm just a scavenger, a shit sifter." To Rat's surprise, she ignored him and addressed Frederick. "You're late." "I apologize," Frederick replied. "I've been saddled with this irksome burden sprawled on the ground before you, as well as Thallium's babysitter. Believe me, I did try to reach our meeting point on time." Rat sat up, outrage driving him to action. "You were going to betray me, DeBurr? Sell me as a slave? We were partners." The woman spat at him with a skillful shot to his cheek. She scooped up his pocket knife from where it had landed on the ground and sniffed at it. "Reaper jasmine. Potent reduction, too." She bent down and held the knife close to his neck. "Who'd you hire to coat this for you? Because I know you don't have the balls or the brains to do it yourself." He tried to wet his mouth with enough saliva to speak, but it had gone dry. The sickly sweet smell of the paralytic met his nose. "Please, I don't have anything valuable." "I disagree." She set the shovel down to grip the thin chain around his neck with rock-hard, icy fingers and yanked. The square keycard attached to the chain came out of the top of his shirt, his only way back into the city. "That's scrap metal! It's worthless!" He couldn't stop from ending his plea with a squeak of panic. She tucked the card into her bust. "Worthless? I've been watching you and all of your nasty habits out here. I'll tell you what's worthless." She switched her grip on the knife as if to slash his throat. "Survivor," called a masculine voice behind Rattail. He looked over his shoulder, and there, not 6 feet from him, was a marauder. A tall one, covered in honor scars. Beyond him, the keeper lay still, his neck bent sharply to one side, dead eyes open as if to show he should have seen this coming. "Please, God, no!" Rat scrambled in the dirt, kicking up a cloud of dust with his effort until he backed up against the rubble pile in which he'd found the bangle. The bangle! He still clutched it in his hand. "Here!" He held the jewelry up. "Take it and leave. I'm begging you." The marauder's gaze cut straight into Rat's core as he approached. Scars crawled across his brow, down his temple, even under his eyes. They were everywhere. The dirt crunched beneath his skin boots when he squatted across from Rat. He took the bangle from his palm, pinching it between two of his big fingers as if it were a single hair. He tossed it to the woman. "Do you have to?" Frederick asked tentatively. Rattail didn't understand the question, but then he realized it wasn't directed at him. The woman closed the knife and pocketed it with the bangle. "Yes," she replied as she grabbed the shovel from the ground on her way to the marauder's side. She wasn't much taller standing than he was squatting in the dirt. "But you got what you needed. He's going to die out here anyway," protested Frederick. "Don't be so sure," she replied with a sneer that displayed her horrible teeth. "It's slick little ones like him that always find a way to slither on. We can't risk him reporting us to the disk, card or no card." Frederick started, "Go for a walk, Freddie. This won't take long," said the woman. Frederick looked like he was about to puke, but did as she said and headed toward the hill he'd been scouting from earlier. Once Frederick was gone, the marauder hesitated to move, and Rattail thought he saw pity in his eyes. Hope started to well up in Rat's chest, urging him to speak. "You wouldn't hurt an unarmed man. It's not honorable, right?" He hesitantly pointed a skinny finger at the marauder's scars. That brought a chuckle from the marauder's chest, and the humanness of the sound eased some of the tension in Rat's muscles. "Haven't had any honor for years now." "Enough, back up," said the woman. She hoisted the shovel overhead and positioned it for a downward swing at Rat's face. Rattail braced himself as his bladder let go. "Wait," said the marauder. He stood and took the shovel from the woman. "Yes, thank you," squealed Rat. The marauder spoke to the woman. "This is beneath you." Cold wind rustled the scarf wrapped around her neck and sent chills along Rat's exposed skin. "Just because I don't wear the markings doesn't mean I haven't done the killing," she said. "Nothing's beneath me." "It doesn't have to be that way. I'm here now." He squeezed her elbow. Rattail started to stand. Thank you, sir. I'll just go." Before he could finish, the marauder choked up on the shovel, spun gracefully, and with one swift strike against the back of his head, everything went dark for Rattail. Scene number 1, people. I hope you enjoyed that. It was really fun to write and moderately fun to read. Yeah, so we see that the book is opening here with kind of a recap, right, of what happened and definitely a summation to give you guys kind of grounding into what's going on in the disc right now. And things aren't well. It's not going well in the disc. So yeah, hope that intrigues you. The next thing that I'd love to do, if you guys are up for it, is a whole new thing that I haven't done before. I have a trailer for Blood for Blood, and I'm pretty excited to share it. I'm a little nervous to share it. You will hear my not so skilled voice in the voiceover. But other than that, I think it's pretty cool. If you guys are up for it, I'll go ahead and we can watch it live together right now. And yeah, we'll see what you guys think. All right, everybody tune in. Alma warned me about the disc. She said that monsters live there that lock you up and make you a slave, or they kill you while other monsters watch. She was right. After everything that's happened, I know something else. Monsters are everywhere. And I'm one of them. There it is. Short and sweet, but yeah, that was really fun. Fun to make and definitely fun to share with you guys. I'm going to add that trailer to my YouTube channel as well, and I'm sure I will embed it on my website. So if you want to watch it again or share it with other people, you will certainly be able to do so. Yeah, pretty excited. That was a fun thing to experiment with. So let's see, guys. We've talked about the book. We've talked about the cover, what's kind of going on in this book, where we left off. Watch the trailer. and read that first scene to you guys. So, the one last thing I want to remind you of is the actual release date for the book. Right now, it is set for October 21st, and Lord willing, that is when it will come out. That's my plan, and I'm sticking with it. So, October 21st, which means that right now and in the next month or so, there's going to be a ton of really exciting launch stuff going on. Launch events like live get togethers, like we're doing here. I'm going to do book giveaways. We're going to have prizes, launch parties, all sorts of stuff is coming. If you are interested, if you're really excited about this book, you want to get involved somehow a little more than just buying it and reading it, you are so encouraged to do so by joining my launch team. So, what the heck is a book launch team? It's just a group of people that get together, you know, electronically, virtually, to help a book be successful and to get launched out into the world so that people actually know it's there, right? So, the launch team for Blood is forming right now. I'm accepting applications. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty small team. I'm keeping it small because I think they're a lot more fun that way. They function better that way. And what do you guys do? In a launch team, you will read Blood for Blood before it comes out. I'm going to give you a free PDF copy of Blood for Blood, so you get to read it early and for free. Then you will ideally review the Blood for Blood book online once it comes out, places like Amazon, Goodreads, things like that. And you're also, as a part of the launch team, would just share about Blood for Blood with others online. So online, in person, as you do, you talk about books with people because you're a reader, right? So things like that, and looking for unique ways to use your skills to help the book get off to a good start. Launch teams are active for about a month or so. That's what I'm doing. If you're interested in this, I'll go ahead and in the chat, I will share a link to the application. It's really fun. We had fun last time launching First Carrier for sure. See if that actually works. Somebody click it and see if it works for me. It should work. But yeah, we're looking for people right now to join and have fun and hang out with me. And yeah, my idea is that we'll hopefully be able to hang out on something called Discord. Probably a few of you guys are familiar with Discord, where we can have a group where we share funny memes and hang out and share ideas about how to help Blood for Blood get off to a good foot. So if you want to join that, definitely click the link and apply before September 16th. That is the deadline to apply, and you will hear back from me whether you are accepted to the team or not. Yeah, pretty quickly after September 16th. Yeah, I'm excited, guys. Are you excited? I hope you're excited. If you have any questions for me, now is the time to ask anything. It can be about the different formats of Blood for Blood that will be available, events going on around launch time, questions about the book or the characters itself. This is your time to ask me. It's an opportunity that I don't give too often because as an author, I don't really like getting in front of a camera, but I do it for you because I like you guys a lot. So if you have questions, let me know. Feel free to ask in the chat. If not, feel free to hop off. But it was really fun seeing you guys. Yeah, had a blast. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys a lot more over the next 6 weeks or so, almost 2 months. And we will hang out more, and yeah, it's going to be a fun time. If you're part of my mailing list, then you can expect a few extra emails from me. I usually just do one a month, but you'll get a few extra from me in the next couple of months because there's so much going on and so much that I don't want you to miss out on. If you're not a part of my mailing list, join that on my website, Madeleine Mozley, .com. Join my mailing list there, and then you'll get all the invites to the virtual things, the giveaway notifications, all that stuff that's coming up so you don't miss anything. And you'll also occasionally get free short stories and other stuff that's kind of fun too. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If any questions come up or whatever, you want to ask me a question, I always say if you need a green chili cheese bread recipe, send me an email, madeleinemozley@gmail.com. It's just my name @gmail.com, and I will get back to you promptly. All right, you guys enjoy your Friday. I hope it's awesome. Have a wonderful afternoon. And yeah, love you guys. Bye.